For a brief moment in the 13th century, there was one truth in Eurasia. The Mongols were unstoppable. From the Pacific Ocean to the borders of Germany, no kingdom, no fortress, no army could stand against the terrifying cavalry of the Golden Horde, led by the genius General Subdued. After crushing Polish, German, and Hungarian armies in 1241, Mongol scouting parties were sighted near Vienna, and Europe was staring into the abyss. Yet, in the spring of 1242, the unstoppable Mongol army simply turned its back on the West and retreated. Why? If you think Europe was saved by its superior knights or impregnable castles, you'd be wrong. In open battle, European feudal armies were absolutely no match for the Mongols' speed and organization. The real challenges were more subtle. The massive Mongol cavalry required vast, dry pasture land for their horses. But tree ring data shows that late 1241 and early 1242 brought an unusually cold and wet environment to the Hungarian plains, turning them into a muddy marsh. The Mongols could destroy armies, but they could not defeat the mud. This made the conquest unsustainable, but it alone was not enough to force the full retreat. The true, immediate reason the Mongols abandoned the West lay 4,000 miles away, in the distant capital of Karakorum. On December 11, 1241, Great Khan, son and successor to Genghis Khan, died. By ancient Mongol tradition, all princes of the blood, which included Beta Khan and the commanders of the European campaign, were required to return to the capital for the Kurultai, the Great Council to elect the new Great Khan, for generals like Beta Khan. Attending the council was not about duty, it was about power. Beta and the new successor, Gayak, were bitter, established rivals. If Beta did not attend, he would forfeit his chance to protect his vast western lands. Faced with the choice between a messy, expensive war in the European mud or protecting his power and influence back home, Beta Khan chose the latter. This strategic, political retreat dictated by a succession crisis robbed the invasion of its momentum and, crucially, its commanders, saving Europe by temporary reprieve. Even if Ogedei had lived, a complete conquest of Western Europe was likely doomed to fail in the long run. The internal political infighting eventually fractured the unified empire into 4 successor khanates. The Golden Horde, which controlled the West, focused its attention and manpower on maintaining control over the rich Russian and steppe lands. Furthermore, Western Europe was seen as a poor, heavily forested, and heavily fortified region, lacking the valuable assets and vast open pasture land the Mongols craved. The reward simply did not justify the immense cost of a brutal, attritional war of sieges and blockades. Ultimately, Europe was saved twice, first by the political crisis that provided the immediate, necessary reprieve, and second by the geographical and economic realities that convinced the Mongols not to return with their full, unified might. Europe owes its survival not to its knights, but to the untimely death of a single man 4,000 miles away.